Hello everyone and welcome to Overexposed, the BWRM podcast where we talk about the ins and outs of running a videography and photography business. We're recording this live at our conference event in Geelong, and we're very pleased to have Andrew White with us, a very experienced elite agent. We're recording in front of a mostly live audience of our BWRM members who are going to be asking some questions once we've got past and introduced Andrew. So,
they're very smiley.
I'm very smiley.
Everyone's very smiley.
They're all smiley, yeah. I'm dying inside, but we're all good. Okay, so I'll just give you an idea of Andrew's background a little bit so we know why he's interesting to talk to, and he'll tell you that straight away once he starts talking. But Andrew's got a background of working in financial services, previously managing a team of more than 100 mortgage brokers. He then moved into real estate sales, setting up Ray White Balgowlah in Sydney's Northern Beaches. During COVID, he and the family moved back to Canberra to start LJ Hooker Dixon before moving on to Canberra's #1 agency, Belle Property, where he's described as a veteran of the real estate industry, and who is both vibrant, enthusiastic and focused.
Lovely.
So good work.
Good copywriter.
What it doesn't say is that he's also a very nice man, and we're very pleased to have him with us. Now then, first question, I'm going to make it an easy one for you. Very, very easy hypothetical question. When you look around this room, if you could choose any one person to be married to.
Already did. Made the choice.
So just for the benefit of everybody else, obviously Andrew is married to Mel, and they moved down there. Now,
which is actually my greatest reference as a salesperson. If you ever want to know how good a salesperson a real estate agent is, check their wife out. Good salesperson, very good salesperson.
Good work, well done.
Can you pull it up so that people can get a visual?
I know who she is.
All right then, so that's the easy one. Now, you moved from a corporate background into real estate sales and set up your own agency in Balgowlah under Ray White. What was the main driver for you moving out of corporate and into real estate sales?
It's going to sound weird, but I actually chased the girl.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I had a good corporate job in Queensland, ran the whole of Queensland for Ray White Financial Services, so there was a real estate link there. But I wanted to move to Sydney to be closer to Mel. We just started seeing each other and saw that was going to be our future, and I couldn't find a corporate job. And I thought, oh shit, what could be easier than selling houses? So we made that decision together, and 3 months later had a business.
And so, what was the reality any different from what you imagined?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I moved from Queensland to Sydney, never lived in Sydney, landed in an affluent, high-end market and opened a business, never having sold a house before, never really knowing anything about real estate before, just pushed all our chips in and opened up a business and signed a 5-year lease and hoped for the best, thought it'd be easy, as you do when you start a business, but that's how it started.
All right. And so moving on from there, on her podcast, Melissa described this time as one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. Presumably this was a shared experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
So do you want to sort of outline some of the challenges that you faced?
I think the biggest challenge was just not understanding what the prospecting cycle looks like how long it takes to take an acquaintance, turn them into a customer, then turn them into a client. That time frame is so long.
So give us an idea how...
we started day one, you push half your money into your startup cost. You've got 4 months worth of cash. I've got to sell a house. I've got to list a house, sell a house, and then get it to settle to get the money to pay the wages in 5 months. So that's the pressure you're under. And everyone, if you own a business, you know what that's like. So you meet a client for the first time, and if you throw enough shit at the wall, some of it'll stick, and you'll just get lucky, right? So that's how they teach us in real estate. Prospect, and you'll be fine. I reckon we knocked on 500 doors in that first month and had this realisation that, oh shit, people aren't going to trust us with their biggest asset. We have to learn to engage. We have to learn to engage in a different way to say, hey, you should give us your $1.5 million apartment to people who've never done it before.
So was the main pushback that you'd only just arrived in the area, or was it the brand, or was it a mix of both? Or
mix of both. The brand was probably a bad decision in hindsight for that area. There was a lot of boutiques around. Easy to blame the brand though. I just think it was naivety, you know, which was also a secret part of our secret weapon as well, is because we did walk in and just expect people to like us,
Yeah,
and that'd be enough.
if you thought about it a bit more, then yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I remember we got our first deal, and it was a referral from our finance network, and trying to sell it on. We were catching the ferry back from the city, and trying to do the deal, and it was just, oh shit, what do I do now?
Yeah.
And that was the whole first 6 months, is what do I do now?
I guess the difficulty is, and a lot of people would have experienced this, is that obviously you're saying you're under time pressure, so that, I'm not saying you get desperate, but you really want the listing.
Yeah.
And that can be unattractive to customers as well, because you're chasing stuff hard.
100%. Biggest thing I've learned doing that business was no one works to your timeline. So even now, I get so frustrated. Clients, the best thing they could do is sell their bloody house right now, or take this offer, or it doesn't matter. If you're not meeting their timeline, you're never going to have that connection to create a client. You might get a customer every now and then that you can trick into using you, or trick's the wrong word, but like convince to use you just once.
Yep.
But if you want that longevity, you've got to work to their timeline, and that was a big lesson. Lesson.
And how did it pan out? I mean, obviously you
We did
succeeded,
okay.
but I mean, did it take 2-3 months to get going? What was the?
Oh no.
How close were you?
So get going is a really interesting word too. So turnover, cash was king. Turnover was something we hid behind a lot as a business. Profitability, we probably could have spent some more time on. We grew too big, too fast. Mel and I were very good at getting people to believe in what we were doing, and people would come along for the ride. So we got very big, very fast. I actually don't believe we ever got to a point where it was okay in that whole time. Because
for 5 years.
Yeah.
Yep.
Until we sold it. The thing that saved us was Mel and I, neither of us had done this before, so we just flipped a coin basically, and sort of said, well, Mel is going to do rentals and I'll do sales, which just kind of works because Mel's more process creative and I'm more, sales. So we did that, and thank God for her, she built a rent roll that we could then sell as an asset just before COVID, timed it perfectly, and get out. Because if we had that now, I don't know where we'd be.
Do you think that a lot of agencies sort of not survive on the rent roll, but that's the backbone of the business?
It's your parachute.
Yeah.
It's your exit clause.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
So a property management is worth between $8,000 and $10,000 as a realisable asset to an agency.
Yep. So if you start seeing rent rolls going for sale,
that's the sort of money. Yeah, not necessarily. Some people use it to get out.
Okay.
So
yeah, awesome. So in that office, you were originally using a competitor of ours for photography.
Yep.
Can you remember if there were any specific things that drove you to think about changing, and what would you say is the main reason for it?
Oh, good question. So we used the company that our brand told us to use, which was Campaign Track in Sydney. Loved the photographer, loved the floor plan guy. Their system was pretty cool, but you had to book them two separately. You couldn't get the one person to do both jobs.
Yep.
Being small fish, 1 to 2 deals a month, you're really concentrating so hard on what you're doing that your photographer isn't really that important. It's whoever you can get on the day, So we had one system. We had a few people knock on our door and we tried, but the biggest thing was when Jackie came and saw us. I can't remember when she came and saw us or how that panned out, but I remember the first job we did together. And they brought out the drone, and I thought it was the coolest thing I ever seen. And but her and Andrew were just bloody nice people, really nice people. And so yeah, we booked whatever we could with them from then on. And then that relationship then transitioned to Liam, and we just always had that relationship with the business after that. But it was just, they were good people.
Yeah.
Weren't pushy, not salesy.
It's interesting to hear when you said about, you're not getting many listings, so you're not really thinking about photography. Someone told me years ago that, the agents aren't thinking about photography most of the time.
Ever.
You need to think about, all you need to do is make them think about it slightly more.
Yeah.
So when they are thinking about it, they think about you rather than just whoever else is in there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it was very much like that. You're trying to survive. The last thing you worry about is, well, what do I do once I get the listing? You've got to get the listing first.
Yeah. And so, just to dive a bit more into, they were nice people, and Jackie is a nice person, by the way.
Yeah.
So is Andrew. But was it sort of the experience on site, or was it, easy to make calls and get them to do stuff, or what was the sort of thing?
I don't think, for me, it's none of that stuff. I'm attracted to people who are just nice, that I can talk to. I'll hang out at a shoot and just talk the whole time. Talk to my client, talk to my photographer, which is a lot easier when it's your wife these days. But that engagement, that representation of my brand in the home is exceptional. And if someone can come in and be a part of what I want the market to see me as this, and if they're part of that, which to me is easy to get along with, open and honest, you know, that they're my brand, things that I want from my team. If they're an extension of that, well, you just got to get them in.
Yeah. And so usually I would imagine that the photographer is one of the first trades that turns up after you've got the listing, right? Is that pretty much the case, or?
It used to be. It's probably third in the chain now.
Okay, who would be the first two?
So in the ACT, we have to have a building inspection done on every house we sell, or an energy report done, which is also another reason why, that's a whole other question about floor planning. But so we have to have that report done before we can get a contract. So that's the first appointment that's done. And then we style the house first, second. So they're the two things that happen first, and then the photographer's in.
Okay, but by the time you've had the building inspector around, who's obviously, you know, official and doing his job and all the rest of it, then you've got the stylist who's making the house look better, and then you've got the photographer coming in. So hopefully by that point the vendor's thinking, oh my God, this guy's a genius. Like there's, you know, there's a lot going on, and I feel comfortable. So,
but every single person in that chain has to represent that. Like even I use one building inspector for the same reason.
Yep.
Because I know when he turns up, the customer's going to get that experience from
first
my
he's
team.
going to turn up.
Yeah, he's going to
That's
turn
good.
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good stuff. Awesome. So after running this office for about 5 years, you moved back to Canberra.
Yep.
And obviously that meant both of you finding new jobs. So we've heard Melissa's experience of growing her business, but I'm sort of interested in your perspective. As an agent with experience of dealing with photographers, what were your sort of preconceptions of real estate marketing as a business, and did anything surprise you about the growth of Melissa's?
Right, so the thing that I didn't understand when I moved back to Canberra, because I was now working for someone else, was that I didn't have a choice. I had no control over this. In my head, Mel's going to be my photographer. She's starting on her journey. I'll be her first job. Like, life's going to be good.
Yep.
But for my first 2 years, I couldn't actually use my own wife. Like, the business wouldn't allow me to use her. They said, oh yeah, we'll try, we'll get her in, we'll do something with her, but it never worked out. So I was trying to start my business up. So Mel's coaching me, because it's, you know, throwing all your toys out of the cot every Monday. And then she started trying to start her business up. So we're coaching each other on how we should approach each other, approach our target markets, which was really interesting. So I had this lens where I'm learning to deal with new photographers in Canberra. I'm meeting the new business that we've got a contract with, but I'm also watching Mel go out and bang her head against the door with all these agents, you know, in 1,000 different ways. Just like when we knocked on doors for trying to get listings, you know, you try an approach with 5 and that doesn't work, so you try a different approach and you start ticking off what works and collecting that information and getting better at that part of the role. So I think the thing that surprised me most was how badly Mel was treated by agents in some respects, and as her husband, there was quite a few I wanted to have a word to.
Is that before she was it like don't come in here again type stuff, or was it on the
and
job,
dismissiveness,
Yep.
you know, dismissiveness, and which I completely understand, and you know, I've got a note here to talk to you guys about that as well. But dismissiveness to me is like a real big thing. It's a red flag for me. I hate it. So when people are dismissing her, she's just trying to do the right thing, and I know what a good human she's going to be in the home. It's hard to watch, right?
Yep.
But when she grabbed a couple of clients and they started commenting on how much they liked how she made the client feel, it was just, I knew that was going to go.
Yeah.
Because that's her point of difference. That's her magic dust.
Yep.
So her magic dust for client experience, her photography didn't matter. And I'm sure she wouldn't say, but her first video, my God, you know, like I've still got a copy of it and we look at it every now and then and go, like, that's where you were from a skills perspective. But it didn't matter because the way she made the customer feel actually enhanced the way they experienced her product, which then gave her another chance.
Yep.
And if you do a good job, you'll get another job. And so once she started really escalating and the phone started ringing, I wasn't surprised.
And so the growth was pretty quick from
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Did that surprise you? Like, did you have any preconception of how long it would take to do it? Or?
She's did a 10-year plan. I think got ahead of it in 3. Like shit, you know, it's crazy stuff. But you know, from all that experience of running that business and the pain and the heartache and being able to maintain your genuine approach to people, I think is what I now look back and go, well, of course you made it. You know, it was never about the technical stuff, ever.
And then finally you were allowed to use your own wife for
Yeah,
photography
so
when you
then,
moved?
well, interestingly, so the business I joined turned out not to be a match for a number of reasons other than just business. So I was starting to sniff around and look. And one of the businesses that had taken Mel on, she had been talking about. And part of the reason I was attracted to them was because of the way they treated her. You know, they had a very strong female agent presence, like the top 3 of the top 6 were female, which in Canberra is not a thing.
Yep.
There's not a lot of really successful female agents, not as many as there should be. But they just treated her with respect. They gave her good work. She was doing a lot of collaborative stuff with some good people. So when the time came and their boss rang me to hunt me, I took the call.
Yeah.
So
Awesome. Good work.
yeah. So she kind of got me in there too. So I owe a lot to her as well.
Good work, mate. Now then, slightly different topic.
Yep.
So during your pitch to the vendor,
Yep.
when you're trying to get the listing, how big a part does photography and marketing play in the discussion? And what are the sort of common questions or concerns during that part?
So generally 0 has been my experience, which I'm trying to change now.
Yep.
So when we go in and pitch for a listing, our job, and this is going to seem a bit odd, but our job is just basically to tell the customer what they want to hear. Like when you're an average agent, the average agent makes 80 grand a year, you know, sells a house a month, 2 houses a month. That's the average, industry average. So most people fit in that bucket. So their job is to go and get that listing no matter what. And that is just tell the customer what they want to hear. So whatever they think it's worth, yep. Whatever you want to pay in fees, yep. Lock it in, get them signed up, and then worry about everything else later.
Yep.
So that's the normal strategy. So then you evolve, and as an agent you evolve, and your marketing pitches become more about how you're going to present the property and the imagery you're going to use. And you know, I take an iPad into presentations now, and I show 3 videos. I'll have 3 videos in there. One, you know, of the agent's not in it. It's all, you know, very cinematic, up in the air, and there's birds chirping, all that shit. Then there's a, you know, real fast, groovy edit with electronic music, and then there's one where I'm talking a lot. And depending on how I relate to the customer, I'll show them that video that I think's appropriate to my pitch. We've now graduated to, we have a digital presentation that we send out on every listing, which talks about marketing costs and what, you know, it's all my profile stuff and videos and things like that. But in it now, there's links to all the suppliers. So I've now added BWRM to my link.
Yep.
So when they get that, they actually have, we use the best photographer in Canberra because that's what your home deserves, yada, yada, yada.
Yep.
And the next step, which we're starting this financial year, is Mel's got like a portfolio that she's made up. And we're going to take that, a hard copy of that, into our listing presentations. We have a beautiful gift box. We give glossy brochures and all that sort of stuff. It needs to be part of that. Because again, it makes me just look more professional.
Yeah.
But I've had to graduate through that. Like when you're starting out in your career, until you really hit that self-generating mark, you've just got to do whatever the customer wants.
Yeah.
And everything else becomes less important than signing them up.
And so in that early stage where you just want listings and you just want to get stuff signed up, is there a temptation to sort of, you know, oh, whatever, we'll just do the cheapest thing or that kind of thing? Or
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have clients tell me all the time, you know, I've only got this much to spend on marketing. If you can't do that, you're not getting the deal.
Yeah.
So I have to make a decision commercially. You know, if I think I can sell it, if I believe them, I will pay the difference myself and invest in that, but I'll never take a shortcut.
Yep.
But when I've got no money, you know, when I'm not making a good salary, a good living out of this, that decision is a lot harder to make.
Yeah.
You know, like if they want to save $200, well, maybe I have to get box branded to do my floor plan, or, you know, things like that. So
okay, interesting. And how big a part would you say price plays in the photography discussion?
For me, 0. But when we started out, it did play a part, and I think it was because I think you guys talk about price too much, just as an industry. Mm-hmm. Every shitty marketing thing I get from a photographer, it's all about how cheap I can do it. You know, so we get bombarded all the time. You can imagine spam, spam, spam. You know, I can get a photography and floor plan package right now in Canberra for $180. 15 photos, floor plan. Like, it just turns me off.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, I'm close to the industry too, and love you guys, so I understand that the quality that you're selling, you have to make profit from as well. So it gives me a bit, I do look at it a bit more harshly, I guess, but that's what we're getting smashed with.
Yeah. So
because they're targeting the low-performing agents.
But from the vendor's point of view, how much is discussed about in terms of price?
Cost and value are the two things we talk about the most. So how much we're going to charge you for the house, and every dollar I take off them, every dollar I add to the marketing package, I've got to take off really what I earn.
Yeah.
Because they very rarely does anyone say, oh yeah, you know what, I want the $10,000 marketing package and I'll give you 2.5% commission. Like that just doesn't happen. So you most clients will spend wholly 2%, maybe 2.2% of their property value on both. So
agent plus
your marketing. Yep. So it used to be 3%, which was great, but everyone's a bit tighter. And unfortunately, the portals are now dialing up their fees. So agents' reactions are, so an agent's sale mechanism is robotic. I go in the house, like I can tell you right now, if you want a 1-bedroom apartment in Canberra and you want to put it online tomorrow, it's $2,938. Like that's in my brain.
Yep.
All Homes puts their fee up next week. I've got to reprogram the whole thing. The signboards go up, the brochures go up, and everything's going up incrementally. So it's kind of like the last person to put their prices up is the one who gets the most pushback.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome. If that makes sense.
Makes sense. Now then, you mentioned the law of reciprocity.
Yep.
Which I was in straight away.
Off my list.
And linked to end result.
Yep.
And I just want you to expand on that a bit more, really, because I think they're really important concepts, and I want everybody to hear about them.
Okay. So one of the things I observed from Mel is that you guys are looking for that long-term client that does a lot of business and will only use you, right? That's the perfect world. Agreed? So what happens is that's a journey. Like it's such a journey to get to that stage. If you walk into the door of an agency right now and go, hey, I want to be your photographer of choice, and the only things you can lead with are your price or just my stuff's better, like, because I hate to tell you, that's what everyone says. If you're leading in with those two thingos and expecting them to just change loyalties that they've had for 5 years, like you're crazy, right? So what we do as salespeople is we have a very ingrained in our DNA that if someone does us a favour, we can't owe them. We have to give it back. So it's called the law of reciprocity, right? It's a thing. And what happens is that if you come in and just want people's business, they can say no to you. If you come in and give them something, they have to give it back to you in some way, shape or form. So if you're looking for this golden unicorn agent, like if you're looking for me, so I just did my budget today, we're going to sell 85 properties next year. That's my goal. So that's $85,000 to my photographer. Average about $1,000 a package. That's good money, right? So you want me as a client. To get me though, you have to be available when I haven't got Mel. So Mel's gone on holidays with her bloody husband because they're always going away, or she's sick, or whatever it is. You have to, and her contractors aren't available. You have to be available. You have to be available at the drop of a hat to go and see that client. The best way for you to be on the table is to make sure that you give them something that they feel obligated to return the favour. So the law of reciprocity is give them a free shoot, give them a free floor plan upgrade, give them something, and just say, I know you got your photographer, I don't care about any of that. Next time you need someone, here's a gift from me, please cash it in. I'd love to just work with you to learn from you. Because that person will use you one day, and then you get to show them you're better, then you get to show them your client skills in the home, then you get to show them all that stuff. Telling someone that you're doing something is not the same as telling them is not the same as showing them. And using that law of reciprocity on agents is critical because we will not go into debt to anyone. We use it on clients. We don't have it used on us. So it's a real weakness in our industry that you should exploit. Exploit's the wrong word. No, it's not. It's exactly the right word. Take advantage of.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. And linked to end result, you mentioned as well?
Yeah, well, I mean, it does link to your end result because what will happen is you create, if you get the opportunity to do the work that you think you can do and hopefully deliver on that, your end result will just balloon out of control as far as loyalty goes, as far as revenue goes, because if you can actually get that person to then trust you, like you, use you in emergencies, then move you along that food chain. In 3 years' time, you've got to meet, you know. But that process isn't going to start until you start it. So you've got to link that cost to what's the end result I'm looking for. Don't do it to the Wallies. You can all look up how many houses agents sell. You know, you go into an agency and, you know, you talk to Johnny Smith there, you know, he's all enthusiastic about you because he's got nothing else to do. So, oh my gosh, photography, free coffee, this is going to be fantastic. And you sit down, you do research on him, he sells 5 houses a year. Good luck. Like, there's no money in that. Don't give him anything. You know, so you've got to invest that, whatever you're going to give, make sure you invest and link it to that end result and the outcome that's going to achieve in the long game. I think that's the point.
Love it. All right, finally from me, you said previously that you've been impressed by our business model. What do you see as the main benefits of our approach?
Oh, people and your coaching and your collab. It's outstanding. We have a very cutthroat industry where we all wear the same jersey, but we are in direct competition with each other and hate each other's guts most of the time. We go away twice a year and have a good time, but that's about it. But I tell you what, your industry is not excluded from that. You know, having worked with some of the competitors that you've got and seeing how their photographers work, they are beaten to the ground, they are untrained, they are not interested. And when Mel joined you guys and just started to flourish, both as a photographer, which was pretty important, but more as a business owner, I think I have a lot of respect for that, because having sort of sat in your job and trained people and tried to grow people's businesses in corporate before, I know how hard it is. And to have this level of engagement from everyone and this continued growth in personal development as well as skills development, you got a little magic thing going on. So don't muck it up.
Awesome, good to hear. All right, thank you very much. I'm going to open up to questions to everyone else.
My name's Nick, and I operate with BWRM in Geelong, so where we're presenting today, this lovely city. Fantastic and intriguing presentation, was absolutely fabulous. Quick question for you. You mentioned you mentioned early on that when you get offers from photographers, you know, of 180 bucks, 15 photos and a floor plan, that it turns you off. What is it about that turns you off?
I know it's cheap.
Yeah.
Cheap's not good. Like, you know, it's a fundamental in people's brains. They look at cheap and they go, it's going to be not as good as something else. And these guys just don't get, even if they said the package is 800 bucks, but I'm going to do one for you for 180, like, that would be a better way to link that value, but it just cheapens the whole thing for me. I know they're sitting at home midnight editing themselves. Yeah. And I don't want that in my business.
Yeah, right. Okay. That's interesting, because a lot of us have faced that sort of, you know, beat down on price. Oh, you're too expensive, I can get it cheaper elsewhere. But you, being a really successful agent, you're like counterintuitive to that, which is like that makes me want to go out and work with you, because it's like, okay, so you get that. So
that's the point.
Yeah.
Like, we create gravity on our quality of what we do. And I think this is why you got to be really careful who you target. Like, if you're targeting agents that haven't got that gravity going yet, you're just going to be, it's just money.
Yeah.
So don't get me wrong, you need the money. You've got to have cash flow, you've got to do deals, you've got to give away free stuff. Yeah. You have to. But it shouldn't be your marketing business plan moving forward. It should be a means to an end. And you need the agents, and I'm going to say agents, not agencies, agents that create gravity, and then they pull you into it, and you pull them into it, and you'll sit there and it'll be comfortable, and price will never be brought up. It should never be brought up.
Awesome. Love it. Thank you.
And ask the agent next time, so do you drop your fees the first time someone asks? They do, but they'll say, no way. Shit. Create some commonality that they like that. It might not work in the moment, but they'll remember it.
I'm Lauren from BWRM Hawkesbury, and my question would be, if you come across a, say Mel wasn't your photographer, and you had one come in that you knew had worked within the real estate industry for a competitive real estate, would that turn you off?
Great question. So, one of the things you've got to do in this game is find your pin-up agency. So we all have someone we aspire to. Ask the agents who they hate the most, they'll generally tell you, and that's the one you've got to go after, right? So there'll be one agent that's dominant, there'll be one agent that has the best marketing. Whoever they are, we all look up to them. So if you are working for a competitor that they respect, it'll actually do you well. If you've worked for someone that they hate, like they don't like the way they present them in their marketing, it's the opposite. So aligning yourself with the, I don't know what the right word is, the lower end of my industry, if you align yourself there, it's very hard to get out until you've got yourself a unicorn. You know, so watching what Mel did was the same thing. So she's doing the biggest, ugliest brand that started doing their property management for $90 a shoot, like started there to get the practice, right? Then the fees go up a little bit, then someone else starts using for the same thing, gets a first shoot, grows, and then along comes this one agency, this one lady, Bree, who works at Belle, and Mel went and did a shoot for her, and she is the #1 hitter in the area. She's a 1.5 million a year agent, loveliest lady you'd ever bloody meet, but now every agency Mel goes and sees, and they ask who they shoot for, drops her name, and suddenly, oh, hang on. If you're shooting for the best, they'll always respect it. If you're shooting for the lesser thans, it's harder to use them as examples. So you just got, this is what I'm saying. So go back to the reciprocity rule. Go find the best agent and just give them a free shoot. Here's $1,000 worth of free shoot to use on a client of your choice, because just doing that and having your name on their name will help you get into the next door. So, and she's got now the one that Bree respects now uses Mel exclusively. So he's the guy that we all look up to because he's a legend, nice fella, and his marketing is known as the best in Canberra, and Mel's his photographer. And Bree got him in that door, got her in that door, and you know, so the door's aspirational. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Mel. I am your wife and also BWRM Canberra Central. The question I want to ask you is about your experience with the photographers you were told to use when you first joined LJ Hooker in Canberra, and because you had a few different. So what did you like about the photographers that you did get to use?
Yep.
And what didn't you like about some of them on that panel that you also used?
Okay, great. So we had to use one of your competitors that we just booked it in and you got whoever you got. You could ask for a specific photographer, but they had a panel and they just shuffled it off to whoever you got. So the range of photographers we got to use was quite broad, and I found in Canberra the one thing that it is it's a very service industry. Like the photographers were treated as the help. Like, you're the help. They just turn up, and they responded in kind and turned up and just were the help. So the photographers I first met, I remember the first shoot I did, and the guy turned up and he had his cargo shorts on and his huntsman's vest, like he's a bird photographer clearly. And he turns up and he's got his, his beard, and he's, walking around the house talking about all that aperture shit and all that stuff you talk about. And just really disconnected with the client, made me feel alienated. And the first thing I did was walk out and go, well, that's a guy I'm never going to use again. So the way that they treated the clients I found really polarising after having worked with Jackie and Liam. This is now my first experience, and I'm the agent, in a new town. Surely a business this size, you got better than this. So I found they worked to a process no matter the house. There was an image count, exactly the image count every time. They would check the photos with me, which drives me nuts. I hate it when someone shows me the back of the camera. Really? It's your job, mate. Don't ask me.
Fair enough.
I'll sell the house.
Don't come whinging to us later when you don't get what you want.
You'll find I don't, mate.
That's my boy.
So, I found it really, it felt like a really beaten group of people to me. There was one or two good guys in there. One's left and become a wedding photographer full-time, followed him. And the other one, I referred to somebody to recruit as a contractor. So later on, yeah. So I was disappointed in my first experience.
Stefan Young from BWRM, Ballerine. How important is consistency from a sales side from us approaching you as a photographer, trying to win your business?
Yeah.
Yeah, so more so from a, like, not an annoyance level, but just the consistency of just checking in and coming back. And
You're talking about not your product, you're talking about your
actually
follow-up.
trying to win your business.
I'm going to have to break this to you, and you're going to hate it, is we don't think about you very much at all. So your follow-up has to be methodical, it has to be planned, but it has to be not too frequent. You just don't want to hit the spam list. As soon as you hit the spam list, it's over. So my recommendation is you want to have visual contact at least twice a year, and you want to be following up probably bi-monthly. But following up, not following up saying, hey, have you got a job for me yet? Following up saying, hey, like, great, my favourite one of all is, oh, hey, long weekend's coming up this weekend. No, Easter's coming up this weekend. A lot of people going away. If your photographer's not available on Thursday or the Tuesday, I just want to let you know I'm working, I'm free. Like, that's a reason to follow up and let someone know something. Not, hey, have you got a job for me yet? Or, hey, can I drop off a new set of brochures? Or, do you want my new price list? We will say yes to everything. We are horrific at saying yes to stuff.
Yeah, so that's appealing to you, because, like, I know myself, I probably wouldn't want to work a public holiday, but if I wanted your business and could offer that day, would that appeal to you?
Well, this ties in again to the reciprocity thing.
Yeah.
Do me a favour, mate. No, I didn't mean work Good Friday, like the Thursday before. Like, offer a solution that they may not have, because you guys will go away on holidays too. And we have to fill those spots if we have to. So knowing you've got a backup plan, it might take 3 or 4 of those. You know, school holidays, if your photographer's away for school holidays, you know, there's 3 opportunities a year to ask that question. I'm working, I'm around. Things like that.
I'm Guy from BWRM Bellarine. How common is it for people just to sort of go in, have a crack, and then piss off, you never see them again?
Oh, mostly. In person, yeah. Yeah, mostly. Most won't come in person, which baffles me. You know, like, to an industry that thrives on connection, you know, just popping into the office and dropping off something seems to me like a no-brainer, but they don't do it.
Hi, David from BWRM in Sunbury. You talk about taking in brochures and having videos on your iPad. Are there any visual tools, brochures, or anything else that we can supply you to help your process of getting a new listing to help with that part?
Yeah, good question. I think the portfolio is the answer. I think especially when, as agents, we all aspire to increase our income, and the best way for us to increase our income is increase the quality of properties. So you've got no idea how close our businesses are aligned. It's the same thing. I've got the 1-bedroom apartments at 400 grand when I start, and I'm trying to get up into the higher end stuff. Being part of that growth cycle is giving a tool that they can use to show that they are a bigger business than just them. And I think that portfolio solution is going to be the next step for me in trying to acquire those nicer properties, because not only can I show them that I'm using the best photographer in Canberra, but I can also show them that I can show her work across a number of agents, not just mine. So it actually helps me look like I've done more premium work than I actually have. And it's not a bad way to sell that to the agent too.
I'm Neil, BWRM in the Macedon Ranges. When you're in the property at that sort of start of the shoot,
yep.
And you've got that experience with the vendor, and obviously you've then got a photographer there as well. What are the behaviours and the comments and the things that just warm your heart that you think this is the right person to work with?
Yeah, I think when a client likes you, they like your work. It's just the way it is, right? So I think the thing that makes, when I know it's going to be all okay, is so Mel will come into the house, I'll introduce you to the client. I know this is going to work because she's just really good with people. And the first thing she says, can you just take me for a tour on your home? Like, this is what an agent does in a listing appointment, same thing. So they do the tour, they'll tell you all the things they like about the house, there's a connection there already, she builds the rapport, and then there comes a moment where the client just goes, all right, what do you want me to do? And as soon as they do that, you're done. Like, just, if you could just bugger off, that'd be great. But if not, we then have part of the other dance is that I feel like my job is to also keep the client out of the photographer's way. So I will then take the customer, if they're going to stay and be annoying, if they're going to stay and provide input, I'll divert the attention. We'll go talk about their marketing fees or strategies or what we're going to do. And then I'll just move them around the house behind Mel. So it's kind of a dance, and I think that goes to that whole connection piece. But as soon as that client makes that, I can just tell that they're relaxed. I know that it doesn't matter what happens in the photography shoot. And then when the photos go to the client, I send them an email that says, I hope you love them as much as I do. It's the only thing I say, whether I've even looked at them or not. That's what it says. And if they've had the connection with Mel and they've looked at the photo, I never get any pushback from a client. I can't remember the last time I had a client ask for an edit.
Hi, I'm Wendy Dinonato from BWRM South Yarra in Melbourne. So I'm new to the real estate marketing game, and
welcome.
Thank you. And just can't get past the receptionist.
Yeah.
So what suggestions do you have to get past the gatekeeper?
It's a good question. So the gatekeeper should only be your issue on personal visits. So my suggestion with targeting agents, if for any new person starting, anybody getting into this, is pick 10 that you want to target in your area. Just pick 10 agents. Try and get it across at least 5 businesses. Follow them on Instagram, and then every time they do something, just engage. Because we are quite addicted to how many people like our shit, right? And as soon as a photographer starts liking our stuff, so make sure you're in your Instagram account, you've got your business name, and then send them a message and just say, really like what you're doing, looks fantastic. That's it. And then that gives you then permission to follow them up. Direct call, direct email. The great thing about us is all our stuff's online, like it's public information, so just go crazy. But I would then email them first, hey, I just want to introduce myself. I have dropped some things into reception. I really like what you guys are doing. I'd love to align myself with you. As part of that, maybe if you book 2 shoots, you get 1 for free, or if your photographer's not available, I'd happily be called at last minute. I just really want to work with you guys and learn from you. And they love it. Yeah, they love it. The receptionist's job is to not let you in. Like, that's their job. That's the only job of a receptionist at a real estate office. Because we don't want to talk to people. We're at the back making phone calls. It's the only time we're in the office. Yeah, trying to, yeah. So they don't want, and people knock on our doors and come in all the time. So, we don't necessarily want too much of that, but just go to them direct. Not en masse, just I would pick your targets, especially your aspirational agents that you want to work with, and just ask for a chance. Be easy to deal with is golden rule number 1.
Hi, I'm June from BWRM Greensborough.
Hello.
Hi. I'm just following up from Wendy's question.
Yep.
When you said pick your 10 agents, do you mean individual agents, not an agency? Okay, cool.
The agent is more important than the agency.
Okay, yep.
So agencies can be aligned to a photographer business, have a contract. You'll find that out pretty quick. It should not change your strategy, because this thing moves like a shell game. Like, it's constantly evolving, and business owners want to do different things. When I started at Belle, we had 3 photographers on the panel. We've now got 7, okay, because they've become a slave to their agents. So businesses will evolve through time. So I would definitely go after the agent, because a good producing, high performance agent will get whatever the hell they want from their boss. And if they want to try someone new, they bloody well will be allowed to. And that then allows you to then use them as so full circle back to the aspirational agent. If you're working with one of the top ones in the office and then an office opportunity comes up, that's how you get in. So yeah, agent, not agency.
It's Mel again. So 2 things in your presentation that I just wanted to touch on and clarify. So you say Belle has 7 photographers on their current panel, and you have marketing forms for those. When you go into a listing, are you taking all 7 options with you?
No.
So what are you doing when you are in an office where you have a choice?
Yep.
What is your process in that regard for presenting options to your client?
So as agencies, most of us have an overlying software that we use to formulate presentations and also prepare marketing quotes. So our marketing provider is someone in Perth. So our marketing forms have all our different photographer costs, all the different brochure options, all the different things. Like, I think there's 500 options that we can have in our marketing template. It's now 2 pages. So out of all those combinations, I have 3. So I have my own pro forma built in the quoting template, and it has 3 different photography packages, and everything else is exactly the same. So I take that in as you have 2 options, not 500.
You are not providing them a choice of photographer,
Absolutely
even
not.
though you have a choice of photographer.
Yeah, I don't provide them a choice of brochure.
Hi, it's Flo from BWRM Gold Coast. Regarding agency, how heavy is the position of a principal of an agency if the principal is not the top seller of the agency?
The principal's always important. It's their money, you know, and they can dictate what happens. There's no doubt. But in my experience, the top 1 or 2 agents, regardless of whether it's the principal or not, always have a bigger voice than everyone else. Because the way we get paid, you guys probably know this, but so we get charged a split on our fees. So if you're writing $1 million a year in fees for an agency, they're probably taking 400 grand of that as straight off the top. So the money that's tied up in one particular agent is quite amazing, but also creates a lot of power for that individual agent. So principals of small offices generally, not everybody, but will generally be more dictatorial, and you know, you do it my way. I'm the number 1 agent. I'm the lead this. I'm the lead that. You're all my helpers. They'll have a few sort of middle range agents coming in to join them, but they'll generally stay that same sort of size. The biggest offices, generally the principal doesn't sell. So they are influenced by operational stuff. So they're more operationally involved, they're more cost driven, profit loss, all that sort of stuff, and won't be too influenced by anything in the operations sector, but their salespeople mean a lot of money to them, so they will listen to them. So it just depends on agency size. But if you're dealing with a business where the principal is everything, I would question that your business is too much at risk, because those people will make snap decisions. They'll use you quicker, but they'll throw you out just as fast. So creating synergy with an influencer within the business is far more long term. Can I touch on one thing?
Yeah, I was going to say, so have you got anything in there that you really want to get out?
A couple of things. One is the consistency question, which I was actually thought you might mean in your editing. So with the consistency of editing, one thing I've noticed sitting next to Mel, we have a desk like this at home, 1 computer on each side. Yep. And as some people have learnt, we talk to ourselves a lot while this is going. So I've got to learn a lot about how she feels, about how agents feel about her work. So there are 2 types of agents out there and 2 types of businesses out there. One is the one who cares about what they look like. So every video, every photo shoot is actually about them. And consistency is more important to that type of agency. It's very important to understand that. So some clients want every single thing shot at twilight because that's their personal brand, whether it's the best thing for the house or not. So getting frustrated with them because they can't decide what's the best thing for a house is you're just getting frustrated over nothing. Don't worry about it, ain't going to change it. They are focused on what they look like, and they want to be uniform in the market, so they want it shot at the same time, they want the same amount of photos, very, very consistent for them. And then you'll have the agents that are consistent with aligning the marketing packages to the home. So they will have different types of videos, they will have different types of image counts, they will have, you know, a bit of the architectural stuff, a bit of the, you know, warm daylight stuff, a bit of twilight, depending on what the home's like. But those 2 agents, they're 50-50. That's what it's like out there in the marketplace. And no one really drifts into being you're either all this way or you're all this way. So one of my favourite sayings in the world is there's nothing spends better than dickhead money. Like, not long term because it'll drive you nuts, but don't get frustrated when agents don't get what's best for the house, because half of them don't care. It's about what they think's best for them. Like the wafflers on the videos. Yep. Like, fucking Jesus, mate. What are we selling here? I have a deal with my clients. If I say my name or my agency name, the video's free. So that's how we run it. So there's that. So consistency is very important to understand those 2. And the other thing I would say is, if you settle for average agents and they're your clients, don't complain about it. Like if you want an agent that does 10 houses a year and you're not getting enough work off them, it's not because they don't like you, it's because you've picked the wrong agents. So always be trying to improve who you're working with. And once you climb that tree and get a few aspirationals, you're set. Because even if that person leaves the industry or moves interstate or whatever, you still have them on your portfolio and they will be your greatest recommendation in the marketplace.
Hi, Robin from BWRM Mount Waverley. What are the 3 top things that a photographer can do to win business?
Okay. First one is dress like a creative, in my opinion. I can't stand the polo shirt thing. If anyone wears a polo shirt, please stop. Embrace your creativity. You've got to mirror who you want to be. If you want to work with the bottom agents, dress like they do. If you want to work with like top agents, dress like they do, is my... It's like stylists. We won't choose a stylist that doesn't dress well. Just won't. And as horrible as it sounds, it's the way it is. When they turn up to the jobs, their interaction with the client's a reflection of me, so that's really important. 2, don't negotiate with terrorists. So if an agent asks you to drop your fees or you do something for free off their bat, expect that to be your long-term relationship, so please do not do that. And as an agent, I will respect it if you don't. If I ask you to do me a favour and you say no, that holds a lot more weight with me long-term than you did the favour. You'll always be the second choice. Very important. 3rd thing would be just consistency of message and making sure that you're always polite and never desperate. Just following our stuff is really important to us. So if you can just engage with us in a beautiful way, that's a great photo. I know it's hard to say it when the photo's shit and it's someone else's work, but commenting on the way we present ourselves to the market, they will want that from you when you're in their embrace. So setting yourself up to that is a really good way to do it. A lot of the photographers in Canberra have gotten onto it, and now every time we put up a listing, there's 6 or 7 photographers who will suddenly all like your stuff. It is a good way because we do look at that. We do look at that.
Thanks very much, Andrew, for coming. Really
Thanks for having me.
appreciate your time, and thanks for everybody for the great questions. Well done, and thanks everyone for listening.